Hello, my name is Ashley Nunn, and I'm currently a student at California State University, Monterey Bay. I am in my fourth year, and I'm a major in molecular biology. This is my overview presentation of my policy analysis paper. My question is, what are some ways to decline the number of babies being born to girls between the ages of 15 and 19 within Salinas? If you continue on to slide number 2, you can see that currently in the United States, there are approximately 750,000 births given to teen mothers. With girls between the ages of 15 and 19, they make up 97%, or 733,000 of those 750,000 births. If you continue on to slide number 3, you can see that as of 2010, Hispanics have the highest teen pregnancy rate within the United States. The current rate is 55 births per 1,000 adolescent females, which is higher than the national teen pregnancy rate. In Monterey County, they have a teen pregnancy percentage of 11.6%, whereas in Salinas, a predominantly Hispanic community in Monterey County, has a teen pregnancy percentage of 12.4%. If you continue on to slide number 4, you can see that the financial hardship after childbirth does increase. 1/3 of all teen mothers and 1/2 of unmarried teen mothers go on welfare within the first year of their first child. Within 5 years of their first child, 1/2 of teen moms and 3/4 of unmarried teen mothers begin receiving some kind of welfare or financial assistance. Continue on to slide number 5, the graduation percentage for teen mothers slide. You can see that more than 50% of teen mothers do not graduate high school. 1/3 of teen moms will graduate high school, and slightly over 1% will earn a degree by the age of 30. Now looking at the graph, you can see that 54% of Latinas do not graduate high school. A little background information for you, the baby boom era. The baby boomers were born in 1946 to 1964, and it was approximately 76.4 million babies born during this time period. Now, after the baby boom era, that's when the teen pregnancy percentage started to increase, around 1970. By the year of 2000, 200 births per 1,000 adolescent females were born for girls between the ages of 15 and 19 years old. Jimmy Carter, the 39th President of the United States, was the first president to recognize, acknowledge, and create a plan to decline teen pregnancies. His act was known as the Adolescent Health, Service, and Pregnancy Prevention Act of 1978. This act included programs to decline teen pregnancies and $208 million in order to fund those programs. Now a little information about Salinas. Salinas has approximately 11,000 students, which make up 13 high schools. A phone call was made to each of those high schools to determine if they had some sort of sex education. 3 schools out of the 13 had some sort of sex education, where the other 10 schools had none at all. Now, 3 mutually exclusive policy options that may decline the teen pregnancy rates within Salinas are to either have no sex education, to keep the current sex education policies the same, or to require sex education within all high schools of Salinas. Now, the no sex ed policy means that no schools or no high schools within Salinas are allowed to have any form of sex education. The only education allowed is abstinence-only education. The policy to keep the policies the same are that schools are allowed to decide if they do or do not want to have sex education within their schools. But if they do want to have sex education, they must have parental consent and must follow strict laws regarding sex education. And lastly, the third option, to require sex education in schools, means that all high schools within Salinas are required to have some sex education. And within the sex education course, they must have a mock parenthood. Now, the mock parenthood means that each student must go out and either buy a bag of flour or a liter of soda, and that is their child for a period of time. Now, in order to pass the class, they must keep a journal, wake up in the middle of the night and email their teacher to have a feeling of what it is to be woken up randomly by a child, and to keep the baby the entire period of the mock trial. Now, if any of those are not fulfilled, the student will not pass the class. So the first stakeholder for this policy paper is fiscally conservative Republicans. Now, fiscally conservative Republicans value reduction of deficit spending. They do not want to spend more than needs to be spent. A fact is that taxpayers pay approximately $9.4 billion a year on teen pregnancy costs. Now, a teen pregnancy cost can be defined as any medical assistance a teen receives due to pregnancy. An empirical assumption is that taxpayers would save $1.32 million a year by a large sex education campaign. The second stakeholder are socially conservative Republicans. Now, they value traditions such as family and religion. A study done in 2010 showed that 20.6% of girls within that study had had sex within an abstinence-only education, compared to the 29% of those girls had sex within the 2 years of a sex education course. An empirical assumption is that abstinence-only education can lower the sex intercourse percentage, which will lower the teen pregnancy percentage. The third stakeholder is Planned Parenthood. Now, they value to provide educational programs and services which enhance understanding of individual and societal implications of human sexuality. A fact is that Planned Parenthood services help prevent approximately 512,000 unattended pregnancies between the years of 2012 and 2013. Now, an empirical assumption is that Planned Parenthood programs will decrease teen pregnancy within Salinas with or without sex education in schools. Now, there are 3 criteria that must evaluate the 3 policy options. The first criteria is operational practicality, which means, will this policy option work? Will this decline the teen pregnancy rate within Salinas? The second criteria is social acceptance, which means, will the community of Salinas accept this option? And the third criteria is economic efficiency, which means, will this policy option cost schools more money in order to implement? For the first policy option, the no sex education option, for operational practicality, this option may decline the teen pregnancy percentage within Salinas. However, for social acceptance, the fiscally conservative Republicans will not want this option because it may increase the national teen pregnancy rate and the national teen pregnancy costs. However, for the socially conservative Republicans, they will want this option because it does not go against what they believe and their tax dollars are not being spent on something contrary to their religion. For economic efficiency, schools will not have to pay for any sex education, which gives them the option to put their money towards other aspects of school, such as art, dance, or music. For the second policy option, to keep sex education the same, for operational practicality, this option may also decline the teen pregnancy rate within Salinas. For social acceptance, this option is more socially fitting for each party because each school can decide if they do or do not want this policy or they do not want sex education within their schools. And economic efficiency, the national teen pregnancy rate may stay the same or it may increase, which means that the schools may or may not have to pay more depending if they choose this option or not. And for the third policy option, the mandatory sex ed, operational practicality, this option may also decline the teen pregnancy rate. For social acceptance, the fiscally conservative Republican will accept this option. However, the socially conservative Republican will not want this option. Economic efficiency of this option means that they may increase school costs, such as lunches or tuition. However, the national teen pregnancy costs may decrease. My recommendation is for policy option number 3, mandatory sex ed. The limitations of this paper were that I didn't have accurate data and stronger stakeholder interviews. What I mean by accurate data is that for many sites, I was receiving that the teen pregnancy rate was 29.4% or 29.4 births per 1,000 adolescent females within the United States. But for half of the sites, I was receiving that number came to approximately 750,000. But then for the others, I was receiving the number of 300,000. So to not have the accurate number weakened my paper a little bit. Now, regarding my stakeholders, I was able to interview 2 previous teen mothers and 1 pastor. Regarding the socially conservative Republicans, they fit into that category. However, since I did not interview any person from the fiscally conservative side or the Planned Parenthood stakeholder, I was not able to strengthen either of those sections because I couldn't confirm that the empirical facts or the empirical assumptions were true, which did limit those sections of my paper. The concessions or strength of the options I'm not recommending, for example, for the no sex education, the strength of those absence-only education will increase, giving us more data to show that absence-only education does decline teen pregnancy. For keeping the policies the same, the strengths of that are that schools do have the freedom to choose if they do or do not want sex education. Now, for justifying my recommendation, sex education is by far the easiest way to show teens that there are consequences of having sex. Another form of education is by experience. However, experience can be far worse than to be educated. If there are any negative effects regarding my policy option once followed, I do take responsibility and accountability for those negative effects. However, to limit those negative effects, we can place a cap on the national teen pregnancy costs. By placing a cap, all the money that is being put towards teen pregnancies cannot exceed that limit. That means the more teens that are becoming pregnant, the less money they will have to help towards their medical and pregnancy costs. In conclusion, by my recommended policy option, I hope that teen pregnancies among Hispanics will drop, and young teens will be informed about the consequences of sex at a young age. Thank you so much for viewing this policy option presentation. If you have any questions or would like to go further into depth and find information about this policy paper, click the link above, and thank you for viewing. Bye-bye.